They told you peace comes from nonviolence. That's a lie. Peace comes from the right person holding the biggest weapon. And today, I'm going to prove it to you. Welcome back to Radioactive Takes. Last episode, we talked about why democracy doesn't work in a country like India. Today's take is going to be even more uncomfortable. Let's go. Imagine 10 people, locked in a room. Same strength, same skills, same intelligence. Limited water, limited food. What happens? Chaos. They fight. They claw. The strongest or the luckiest survives, until they don't. Now hand one of them a gun. The room goes silent. 9 people who were equals a second ago now serve one man. He decides who eats, who drinks, who sleeps. Peace arrives, not because anyone became good, but because everyone became afraid. Now give 5 of them guns. The dynamic changes again. Those 5 start negotiating, forming alliances, threatening each other. The other 5, still pawns. But now there's a council pretending to be civilized. Give everyone a gun. And ironically, this is the most stable scenario of all, because whoever shoots first dies next. That's not morality. That's math. Now scale this up. The people in the room, countries. The guns, nuclear weapons. Right now, roughly 9 countries have nukes. That is exactly why diplomacy works. That is why even the angriest leaders on Earth pick up the phone before they pick up a weapon. Mutually assured destruction isn't a bug of the world order. It's the feature keeping it alive. And you don't even have to imagine this. It's playing out right now. Look at Kim Jong-un. He runs one of the most repressive regimes on Earth. Sanctions, threats, isolation. Doesn't matter. Nobody invades North Korea. Why? Because he has nukes. That's his insurance policy. That's the only reason he's still alive. Now compare him to Gaddafi. In 2003, Libya gave up its nuclear weapons program under pressure from the West. They were told, give it up and you'll be safe. Give it up and you'll be welcomed back into the international community. 8 years later, NATO-backed forces bombed his country. Gaddafi was dragged out of a drainage pipe and killed in the street. And then there's Ukraine. In 1994, Ukraine inherited the 3rd largest nuclear arsenal on the planet from the Soviet Union. They gave it up, every warhead, in exchange for written security guarantees from the U.S., the U.K., and Russia. The Budapest Memorandum. On paper. 20 years later, Russia took Crimea. 30 years later, Russia invaded outright. And those guarantees turned out to be exactly what they were written on. Paper. Keep the weapon, you survive. Give it up, you become someone else's problem. Now imagine only one country had nukes. Just one. Do you think they'd negotiate? Do you think they'd share? They'd dictate. Every other country would line up to serve them. Their currency, their language, their rules, forced on everyone. And if that sounds far-fetched, it has already happened. When the British showed up in India, they didn't bring better ideas. They brought better weapons. We had swords and cavalry. They had muskets and cannons. It wasn't a fair fight. It was a massacre dressed up as trade. The Spanish didn't conquer the Aztecs because they were morally superior. They conquered them because they had gunpowder and steel armor. And then look at what happened in North America. The native tribes had bows, arrows, and tomahawks. The Europeans arrived with rifles, cannons, and horses. An entire continent's worth of civilizations wiped out, displaced, or pushed into reservations. Not because their gods were weaker. Not because their cultures were inferior. Because their weapons were. Entire civilizations were erased, not by better arguments, but by asymmetric weapons. The ones without the bigger gun didn't get to write the rules. They barely got to write their own history. So here's the take. Nonviolence is a luxury. It only works when the violent man chooses to listen. And he usually only chooses to listen when he knows you can hit back. Gandhi worked because the British Empire was already collapsing and couldn't afford another massacre in the age of global media. Try nonviolence against Genghis Khan. Try it against a regime with no cameras pointed at it. See how far it gets you. Peace isn't the absence of weapons. Peace is the balance of them. The real question isn't how do we disarm the world. It's who should be holding the biggest weapon, and can we trust them? That's today's radioactive take. Agree? Disagree? Fight me in the comments. Peacefully, of course. You know, since I'm the one with the upload button. Subscribe if you want more of this. See you next week.